Hi, good evening. Welcome to Bedtime Bible Stories. This show is for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Now, if you're here, take your pills, pack a bowl, get your smokes, get comfy, get your smokes and get comfy. Make sure you have your bedtime beverage, your nightly reward for keeping people alive. Then let's smoke it, drink it, and read it. But first, I don't know how to say this word, but this is something that's happening. So I'm going to tell you about it. Okay.
Apocrypha.
Apocrypha. A biblical or related writings not forming part of the accepted canon of scripture. Okay, so Miss Raven Lady pointed this out to me. Okay, and she said there's books, other books. You know how we were reading the other books in the Old Testament? Well, apparently there's more books in the Old Testament other than the ones we read. So, I guess we're not done with the Old Testament. So, we might have to put a kibosh on the New Testament for a short while because there is some books in here that we've already read, but there's also books in here that we have not read. So I think, well, I know this is what we're going to be doing next. Is these books. And then we're going to go back to the New Testament and start from the beginning. Because this is something that's happening. Because, if we're going to read it, we might as well read it, right? And this was the original Bible. So, I guess this is what we're doing. So, this is what we're doing. So, we are starting the second chapter of Maccabees. Or the first chapter, I apologize. Okay, but before we start, I did the shortest version of research you could possibly do. Okay. This is after their capture, after their release. But at the time of Antiochus, I think it's the fourth. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, during Antiochus the fourth, after Demetrius. Okay, so this, I guess, is happening around the same time, but on a different side. Like these people are, the people we're reading about right now are fighting the Asians and also the Egyptians, I guess, on that part of Egypt. And then the thing about Nehemiah was on the other side, in Judah and Jerusalem. And this one was in Judea and Jerusalem. Kind of, like, mostly Judea. And also, Nehemiah is in the internal, like, the priest and the king and all that. Like, he's involved in that. And building a part of the wall of Jerusalem. It doesn't really talk about Judah or any of the stuff that's happening in Judah in what we're reading right now. So, this is around the same time, but on a different side. Because Artaxerxes is king right now. But also Antiochus the Fourth. So, I don't know what to make of that. But that's what it said. So, okay. So we're just going to stay here with what we're reading right now. Why don't we start this? Okay. Now we know where to find it. Okay. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 1. Hold on. Okay. So, 2 Maccabees chapter 1. Letter 1, 124 BC. But I thought we were in 700 or something. I don't fucking know. Okay. The Jews in Jerusalem and the Jews in the land of Judea send greetings to their kindred, the Jews in Egypt, and wish them true peace. Do you though? May God do good to you and remember his covenant with his faithful servants, Abe, Isaac, and Jake. Yeah, but what about Noah and Moses, though? Well, some of them worship Moses. But what about Noah? Everybody forgets Noah. Give to all of you a heart to worship him and do his will wholeheartedly and with a willing spirit. Open your heart to his law and commandments and grant you peace. Hear your prayers and be reconciled to you, and never forsake you in time of adversity. Even now we are praying for you, but are you though? In the reign of Demetrius, the 169th year, we Jews wrote to you during the height of the distress that overtook us in those years after Jason and his followers revolted against the Holy Land and Kingdom. This must have been the thing that Alexander was going to. Set fire to the gatehouse and shed innocent blood. But we prayed to the Lord, and our prayer was heard. We offered sacrifices and fine flour. We lighted the lamps and set out the loaves of bread. We are now reminding you to celebrate the Feast of Booths in the month of Kislev. That's July 10th, I think. Dated in the 188th year. Okay, so this is after where we're at in the Bible right now. Letter 2, 164 BC. I have no fucking idea what that means, by the way. The people of Jerusalem and Judea, the Senate and Judas, send greetings and good wishes to Aristobulus. Judas is dead, though. Is Judas not dead at this point? I thought Judas was dead. Alright, we're gonna keep reading and find out where the fuck we are in life right now. Okay. Okay. The Senate and Judas send greetings and good wishes to Aristobulus, teacher of King Ptolemy and member of the family of the anointed priest, and to the Jews in Egypt. Okay. So this is after Alexander dies and before Ptolemy does the slimy shit. Since we have been saved by God from grave dangers, we give him great thanks as a benefit to those who fought against the king. For it was God who drove out those who fought against the holy city. When their leader arrived in Persia with his seemingly irresistible army, they were cut to pieces in the temple of the goddess Nane through a deceitful stratagem employed by Nane's priest. We heard about this, remember? I had no idea what the fuck was going on. So this is after that. Okay, so confused. On the pretext of marrying the goddess, Antiochus with his friends had come to the place to get his great treasures as a dowry. Okay, that's right. This is how Antiochus died. Okay. When the priest of Nane's temple had displayed the treasures, and Antiochus, with a few attendants, had come inside the wall of the temple precincts, and the priest locked the temples as soon as he entered. Dun, dun, dun. Then they opened a hidden trapdoor in the ceiling, hurling stones at the leader, and his companions struck him down. They dismembered the bodies, cut off their heads, and tossed them to the people outside. Oh my God. These people are motherfucking brutal. Man, forever blessed be our God, who has thus punished the impious. Impious. I don't fucking know. Do you want to find out how to say it? Let's find out. How about that? We just find out.
Impious.
Impious. Okay. Since we shall be celebrating the purification of the temple on the 25th day of July, we thought it right to inform you that you too may celebrate the Feast of Booths and of the fire that appeared when Nehemiah, the rebuilder of the temple, and the altar offered sacrifices. Yes, that's in my notes. Okay. Okay. This is talking about, and the fire appeared when Nehemiah, the rebuilder of the temple. Okay. For when our ancestors were being led into captivity in Persia, we read about that. Nebuchadnezzar. Devout priests at the time took some of the fire from the altar and hid it secretly in the hollow of a dry cistern, making sure that the place would be unknown to anyone. Many years later, when it so pleased God, Nehemiah commissioned by the king of Persia. Okay, this is after all that, they're talking about that, right? Okay. They're calling Nehemiah ancestor. Descendants of the priests who had hidden the fire to look for it. When they informed us that they could not find fire, but only a thick liquid, he ordered them to scoop some out and bring it. After the material for the sacrifices had been prepared, Nehemiah ordered the priests to sprinkle the wood and what lay on it with the liquid. Okay, so throw that on the liquid. This was being done when, at length, the sun, which had been clouded over, began to shine. A great fire blazed up, and everyone marveled. While the sacrifice was being burned, the priest recited a prayer, and all that was present joined in. Jonathan led, the rest responded with Nehemiah. Jonathan led, and the rest responded with Nehemiah. The prayer was as follows: Lord, Lord God, creator of all things, awesome and strong, just and merciful, the only King and benefactor, who alone are gracious, just, almighty, eternal, Israel's Savior from all evil, who chose our ancestors and sanctified them. Dun dun dun. Accept this sacrifice on behalf of all your people, and guard and sanctify your portion. Gather together our scattered people, free those who are slaves among the Gentiles. Look kindly on those who are despised and detested, and let the Gentiles know that you are our God. Yelp, Hildasson. Punish those who lord Punish those who lord it over us, and in their arrogance oppress us. Yeah, punish the Democrats. Plant your people in your holy place, as Moses said. Then the priests sang hymns. After the sacrifice was consumed, Nehemiah ordered the rest of the liquid to be poured upon large stones. Why? You're wasting it. Okay. As soon as this was done, a flame blazed up, but its light was lost and the brilliance coming from the altar. When the event came known, and the king of the Persians was told that in the very place where the exiled priests had hidden the fire, a liquid was found with which Nehemiah and his people had burned the sacrifices. The king, after verifying the fact, fenced the place off and declared it sacred. To those, why can't I read? To those whom the king favored, he distributed many benefits he received. Nehemiah and his companions called the liquid Nephthar, meaning purification. But most people named it Naphtha. Naphtha. Okay. So where are we at? 20 minutes? Alright. Let's see how long chapter 2 is, huh? What do you think? Okay. 32. That's not bad. Okay. Give me one second. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay. So, we're on 2nd Maccabees chapter 2. Okay. In the records, it will be found that Jeremiah the prophet ordered the deportees to take some of the fire with them as indicated, and that the prophet in giving them the law directed the deportees not to forget the commandments of the Lord or be led astray in their thoughts when seeing the gold and silver idols and their adornments. Okay, so again, this right here is saying the Jews aren't the Jews. Right? It's like, keep the commandments, do the 10 things, and be a Jew. But you're not a Jew. Okay? With other similar words, I want to know how to say this word, because I get it wrong every time, I think. Really, it worked every time but that time. That's stupid. Fucking shit.
Exhort.
Exhort. He exhorted them, strongly encourage or urge someone to do something. Okay. So he extorted them. Exhorted. Okay. Okay. And he exhorted them that the law should not depart from their hearts. So be a Jew. But they're not Jews. The same document also tells how the prophet, in virtue of an oracle, ordered that the tent and the ark should accompany him, and how he went to the very mountain that Moses climbed to behold God's inheritance. Yeah, but that's not why Moses climbed the mountain, though. Moses climbed the mountain and Moses got God to tell him his name. on that very mountain, but it was not to behold God's inheritance. Because Moses, oh, you know what Moses did? Yeah, that's right. Right at the end of Moses' story, right before he dropped dead, he got to see it. That's right. When Jeremiah arrived there, he found a chamber in a cave in which he put the tent, the ark, and the altar of incense. Then he sealed the entrance. Some of those who followed him came up intending to mark the path, but they could not find it. When Jeremiah heard of this, he reproved them. The place is to remain unknown until God gathers his people together again and shows them mercy. Hopefully from the fake Jews. Then the Lord will disclose these things, and the glory of the Lord and the cloud will be seen, just as they appeared in the time of Moses, of Solomon, when he prayed that the place might be greatly sanctified. To the clouds, just as they appeared in the time of Moses and of Solomon. It was also related how Solomon, in his wisdom, offered a sacrifice for the dedication and completion of the temple. Just as Moses prayed to the Lord, and fire descended from the sky and consumed the sacrifices, so also Solomon prayed, and the fire came down and consumed the burnt offerings. Moses had said, because it had not been eaten, the purification offering was consumed. Solomon also celebrated the feast in the same way for 8 days. Okay. These same things are also told in the records and in Nehemiah's memoirs, as well as how he founded a library, collected all the books about the kings and the prophets, the books of David, and the royal letters about votive offerings. Like in the like manner, Judas also collected for us the books that had been scattered because of the war, and we now have them in our possession. If you need them, send messengers to get them for you. As we are about to celebrate the purification we are writing, you should always celebrate the feast days. It is God who has saved all his people and has restored to all of them their inheritance, the kingdom, the priesthood, and the sacred rites. As he promised through the law, for we hope in God that he will soon have mercy on us and gather us together from everywhere under the heavens to his holy place. For he has rescued us from great perils and has purified the place. He did do that. All right, give me 1 second. Okay. Compiler's preface. This is the story of Judas Maccabeus and his brothers of the purification of the great temple and the dedication of the altar. Okay, so this is going back in time. Okay. The campaigns against Antiochus Epiphanes and his son Eupator and his son Eupator. I don't know what that is. Why don't we fucking find out? We have the answers at our fingertips. There are no definitions. Okay, we're going to search for it. Eupator, it's Greek. An epithet adopted by Hellenistic rulers, means of well, father. Okay, so it's one of those made up things that makes you feel special. Kind of David, like the commander of the drums. So, Anti is the Jupiter, so made up title, of the heavenly manifestations accorded to the heroes who fought bravely for the Jews. Few as they were, they plundered the whole land, put to flight the barbarian hordes, regained possession of the temple, renowned throughout the world, and liberate the city. They reestablished the laws that were in danger of being abolished, while the Lord favored them with every kindness. Okay. All this detailed by Jason in 5 volumes. We will try to condense it into a single book. For in view of the flood of data and the difficulties encountered given such abundant material by those who wish to plunge into the accounts of history. Is this them writing this or what? We have aimed to please those who prefer to simply read, to make it easy for the studious who wish to commit things to memory and to be helpful. For us who have undertaken the labor of making this digest, the task, far from being easy, is one of sweat and sleepless nights. Is it though? Okay. Just so the preparation of a festive banquet is no light matter for one who seeks to give enjoyment. Similarly, to win the gratitude of many, we will gladly endure this labor, leaving the responsibility for exact details to the historian. Well, that's dumb because they just make shit up. Okay. And confirming our efforts to present only a summary outline. What? Why? Stupid. As the architect of a new house must pay attention to the whole structure, while the one who undertakes the decoration and the frescoes has to be concerned only with what is needed for ornamentation. So I think it is with us. To enter into questions and examine them from all sides, and to be busy about details is the task of the historian. No. See, this is so dumb. They were setting people up to make shit up. Okay, Jews. But one who is making an adaptation should be allowed to aim at brevity of expression, artistic embellishment. Let them artistically embellish my ass. Here then, let us begin our account without adding to what has already been said. It would be silly to lengthen the preface to history, then cut short the history itself. It would be silly to lengthen the preface to the history, then cut short the history itself. Okay. So something tells me. Never mind. It tells me nothing. I'm not even. Anyway, thank you for watching. It was totally awesome. Make sure you took your pills. Make sure you took your pills. That have the greatest night ever. I'm about to go eat some vegetable soup. I cannot fucking wait. So, have the greatest night ever. No, I lied. Have the sweetest dreams ever.